Well, hey everybody, Jarmitlin here, and this is every Undertaker WrestleMania match ranked from worst to best. Because it seems that finally, thank God, Undertaker is stepping away from the ring. He's not going to be at WrestleMania 35, unless suddenly they decide to say, hey, Undertaker, you're going to face Elias. And then they do that, and it's a quick 2-minute squash. It seems that finally Undertaker is stepping away from the wrestling ring, going to focus on other things, doing autograph signings, whatever. And after giving so many years and then some to the fans and giving up his body and having to get things replaced and putting out surgeries and all this stuff and all the things he did for wrestling, and because he loves it and because he loves the fans, he is now finally out of the ring seemingly, and that's good. The man deserves to have a healthy life, spending time with his wife and kids and doing what he wants to do. So basically, with that being said, let's just look at ranking every single one of the 26 WrestleMania matches that Undertaker has been in. And watch, again, they'll put Taker versus Elias on at Mania 35, and they'll throw this list out of whack. But as a wrestling fan, I'm just going to have fun talking about some of these. I have, however, said things before, so I might skip over a few things and just talk very, very briefly. But let's get on with it. With number 26, Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez at WrestleMania 9. One of the worst Mania matches ever, period. Gonzalez had no business in the ring. Taker won by DQ. Thank God. Could you have imagined if Taker had lost? It would have been an absolute travesty because Gonzalez, bless his heart, it wasn't that he didn't try. He just wasn't very good. And the whole ether, chloroform-soaked rag, and Taker being taken out and then coming back in and then knocking Giant Gonzalez down, then facing off against him at SummerSlam 93. One of the worst feuds that I think ever happened. One of Undertaker's worst feuds. This and probably the one with Mabel would be like his two worst ones. But yeah, this one was pretty shit. It just really was. And it wasn't for a lack of trying, but Gonzalez never belonged, and Taker could only get so much out of somebody when they couldn't really do anything. Number 25, we skip ahead 10 years to Mania 19 for Taker versus Big Show and A-Train. Originally it was supposed to be Undertaker and Nathan Jones, remember him, versus Big Show and A-Train. But then they realized, oh shit, Nathan Jones really doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. We probably shouldn't put him in the ring. Quick, take him out on Sunday Night Heat just before the show starts. What? Okay, we'll do that. And they took him out. They had him taken out backstage in a bathroom in Seattle. That must have been great, taking him out, like in some kind of locker room bathroom in Seattle. That must have been clean. I live near Seattle, and I can testify to the fact Seattle ain't a very clean city. But also, Seattle cleanliness aside, Big Show and A-Train basically got squashed here. Taker, this is Biker Taker. Had he won by DQ here, this would have been an appropriate time for a DQ finish and for Taker to win. Big Show was a pretty big monster still at this point. A-Train had just been renewed with kind of a bit of a push, and he ended up being the one that got pinned. Nathan Jones did get involved. I believe hit some kind of spin kick on Big Show in the aisleway, which somehow didn't cause a DQ, and then interfered, causing A-Train to get tombstone, somehow didn't cause a DQ, and then Undertaker got the victory, which, okay, cool. I'm not saying I wanted to see Taker lose, but the referee was apparently like, I'm not going to disqualify the Undertaker. I don't want to end the Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. I don't want to die. And it happened. It wasn't very good. Taker won, though. Cool. Okay, he squashed two monsters when a DQ finish wouldn't have been bad. Number 24, Taker versus Big Boss Man at Mania 15. The Big Boss Man got hung by a harness. He actually didn't get hung around the neck. And, got left there to be strangled. Hooray! That's how your match ended. It was the worst Hell in a Cell match of all time. Absolutely abysmal. I really can't think of one Hell in a Cell match that was worse. I mean, please let me know in the comments if you think one of them was worse. But this one was just bad. It was horribly paced. It was between two heels, so no one knew really who to root for or who to boo. Even though I think people loved Taker. Not that people didn't love Boss Man, but he wasn't really, it was like the corporation and the ministry feuding and everything before they became the corporate ministry. My God, 1999 was a rough goddamn year creatively. Even as high as the ratings got, my God. But yeah, Big Boss Man got hung, and that's where everything went off. With the match, the show still went on afterwards. Fortunately, Boss Man wasn't actually hung, but a very bad match. Number 23, Taker versus renowned murderer Jimmy Snuka at Mania 7. Yeah, it was fine. Snuka got squashed, spiked on his head, still didn't knock any sense into him, nor did he serve a day in jail for murdering Nancy Argentino. But he's burning in hell for it, so that's fine. Taker got the victory. Cool. Number 22. Taker versus Jake Roberts at Mania 8. Better than the Snuka match. Jake got a little more out of Taker. This was Jake's last match in WWE for about 4 years, almost 4 years, before he went to WCW. And then the contracts got torn up by Bill Watson. Jake Roberts went from making all this to that. But yeah, it happened. It was a tombstone on the outside. Jake got rolled into the ring, 1, 2, 3. That wasn't the whole match, but that was the end of the match. And then we go to number 21, Taker versus King Kong Bundy, the late great King Kong Bundy at Mania 11. King Kong Bundy had a weird run in his second run in the company. Well, actually, technically his third run, because he was in there for a bit in 81. Then his biggest run, 85 to 88. And then he had this run from like late 94 to like late 95. It was odd, but it wasn't a bad match. It was a big man match. This was like that weird glut where like from 92 to like, later 92 to like sometime in like early 96. Taker would occasionally face guys like Bret Hart and stuff like that, but often would just face big guys, big monsters to slay. And King Kong Bundy was one of them. He didn't tombstone King Kong Bundy. He did slam him, which was impressive. It was a fine match. It wasn't great. I admit that right now. And I mean, it wasn't that I expected these two guys to pull out like, head scissors and all that. But it was a fine big man match. It probably would have been better if it was on a better WrestleMania, because Mania 11 was pretty shit, but still. Gonna rank it here where I did. Number 20, Taker versus Sid at Mania 13. Mainly putting this just above the Bundy match because Taker walked out as champion. But honestly, this match is pretty bad. It was supposed to be Bret versus Shawn in the main event. That didn't happen. It ended up being because, Shawn lost his smile. So the championship changed hands a whole lot. Bret had the championship for like a day, then Sid won it back, second reign, and then dropped it to Taker, and that happened. Bret interfered in this match also. It wasn't very good. Taker walked out as champion is about the only reason I ranked it as high as I did. And number 19, Taker versus Cena at Mania 34. Why this high? It was a squash match, and, it was like Taker's greatest hits and stuff like that. It was pretty fun. It wasn't great, I admit that right now. But it was still pretty fun. It was entertaining, and sometimes that's really all you can ask for. It wasn't great, but Cena did seem really excited to face the Undertaker. I'm saying he popped one. Well, if you'll see it. He was really excited to take that tombstone, which must have made that tombstone very uncomfortable for Undertaker to hit. But still, it was what it was. Maybe it was a jorts, but I don't think so. It was a fine little squash match. Number 18, Undertaker versus Roman Reigns at Mania 33. This should have not been the main event. I get why they put it there, because Taker ended up leaving his gear in the ring and seemingly was like that was the end, and it should have been the end, quite frankly. Even though Taker versus Cena was entertaining, it would have been perfect, even though I didn't like that Reigns beat Taker. I knew it was going to happen. But Taker looked so wiped out, so beat up and everything. He had to get hip replacement surgery, a whole bunch of stuff. It was just sad. And it wasn't that Reigns and him couldn't work, couldn't do anything, but they could only do so much, especially when one of the guys was hobbled. My opinion is softened on this match a little bit, given some circumstances, but taken in like totality of the event, this was not a WrestleMania main event worthy match. This should have been like middle of the card, though. For Undertaker putting his gear down there, I get why they put it in the main event. But still not very good. And then we get to Taker versus Mark Henry at Mania 22 at the 17th spot. And yeah, casket match. Besides Taker hitting a cool dive and a tombstone to Mark Henry, that's about the highlights of it. It was a casket match, and Henry got thrown in it. And yeah, this is one of the rare times when Mark Henry wasn't injured. Mark Henry and Rey Mysterio, I swear to God, for a period of years. Like, if you take, like, 06... If you take 06 to, like, 2014, when Rey left the company, and you look at, like, how long both guys spent on the injury list, it's a lot of years. It's a close shave. At least what I can think in my head. But that aside, it was a fine big man match. It was a little better than Taker versus Bundy because of the casket stipulation. It wasn't very good. I admit that right now. But there were some cool visuals in it. Then we get Taker versus Kane in the 16th spot at Mania 20. the build-up with Kane selling this whole goddamn thing of his brother coming back after he buried the Undertaker alive, and Taker coming back as a dead man, and Paul Bearer and the Druids and all that stuff, and Taker making his cool entrance, all the torches, all the stuff, and then the bell rang, and it was a basic match. Now, I didn't expect these guys to pull out Hurricanranas and pull out, like, Tope Suicidas and all that, and 630 splashes, 450 splashes, and shooting star presses, but it was still a very basic match. It was not very good, it was not very bad, but it was what it was. It served its purpose. Taker won, cool. Number 15, and this one may shock some people with how low I ranked it, even though it shouldn't if you know me. Undertaker versus Triple H at Mania 27. I didn't care for this one. It had some impactful chair shots, and including one vicious headshot, that's a no-no. That, by the way, I still cringe every time I see these older matches with the chair shots of the heads, multiple sometime, because sometimes multiple people are taking chair shots. I cringe knowing what concussions, what causes concussions and stuff like that, having dealt with them myself, obviously never having been in the ring. Yeah, I cringe a little bit seeing this, but that aside, this had some cool stuff, but I got the drama with Triple H wanting to avenge Shawn felt so forced. I know that may be unpopular, but that is exactly how I feel. I never got the feel of it. Now, I'm not saying Triple H and Taker aren't capable of having good matches. They are. I'm going to talk about a couple here in a little bit later in the list. But it just wasn't very good. I just didn't like it. I just did not think that this was something you could particularly enjoy. Now, there are some people that love this match more than their other two, and that's fine. I just didn't care for it. Taker gained the victory and choking out Triple H and everything, and then both men basically having to be carted out, including Undertaker, even though he won it, was fine. It was a cool visual. My problem is it went on forever, for pissing ever, and I just couldn't get into it. I just couldn't. Now, Mania 20, maybe it's because Mania 27 to me is generally one of the most shit Manias there is. besides a couple undercard matches. And I get what they were trying to do. I just didn't buy into it. They did much better the following year, which I'll get to in a bit. Undertaker versus Shane McMahon at WrestleMania 32 is at number 14. Had this been about half the time that it was, or maybe even 20 minutes instead of 30 minutes, might have ranked this one in the top 10. But Shane should have not gotten this much offense in The Undertaker, not at all. The dive that Shane did off the cell was impressive and scary. Shane, please stop diving off of shit. We don't want you to die. You don't have anything to prove. You didn't have anything to prove in 2009 when you were still doing it. Please stop diving off of shit. But anyway, Shane's going to watch this. But, I respect the guy. The guy's got kids. He's got a wife. I don't want him to die in the ring. But yeah, really besides that, it was also the story muddied and everything. Shane mentioned a lockbox to Vince. So Vince said, okay, you want to run Raw, you got to face The Undertaker at Hell in a Cell and beat him. And again, Shane had to win to run Raw. And then the next night, Vince was like, fine, you can run Raw. Sorry, that's just pretty much my reaction to that. I remember doing a Mania 32 review and just being baffled by that. That's one of the most baffling storylines ever. It was what it was. Taker won. Cool. Okay, Shane should have not been the one or should have been one of the people to beat Undertaker at Mania, because only two guys have done it, Brock and Roman, and that's fine for those guys. But yeah, this was not a very good match. Wasn't bad. It was a little bit better than the Triple H Taker one from 27, but not by much. Mainly because I thought Shane was going to die from that fall. Anyway, so then we go 1 year earlier, Taker versus Bray at Mania 31. Bray had a severe ankle injury. Apparently it was really bad. He had to take some time off. It was in the daytime, which was a little weird because it was an outdoor venue. I believe it was the San Francisco 49ers Stadium. Levi's Stadium, I believe. Don't know why I don't remember that, considering I'm a Niners fan. But yeah, not very good. The entrances were cool and everything. Credit to Bray for getting through that with that ankle problem. And yeah, it was cool to see Taker get a win back, but Bray should have been the one to beat Taker at Mania 30. Imagine what that would have done to Bray. But then they're like, oh no, they can rebuild Bray, and they haven't been rebuilding Bray. And he hasn't been seen on TV for months. I mean, recently. This just wasn't very good. This really wasn't. It wasn't a terrible match. They had some cool face-offs, like Bray doing the spider walk, the spoopy walk, and then Taker doing the sit-up. That was pretty cool. But other than that, there were some cool visuals, some cool exchanges, but not really all that much. See, if you look at the totality of Undertaker's WrestleMania career, they're like, oh, the legendary undefeated streak and all this stuff and everything. There were some real clunkers in there, and I'm not saying it was all Taker's fault. But sometimes the blame's got to be shouldered by both guys, and sometimes some things don't click. But then we're going to get to stuff that sort of clicks. Right after this match, Taker versus Brock at Mania 30 is in the number 12 spot, and look, I still don't like that Brock broke the streak. I still don't. It's about 5 years ago that it happened, as of recording this video. Well, I mean, just about 5 years. And it still bothers me, and nothing against Brock. Whatever. You know, even though the dumb fuck should show up more often. And Vince McMahon needs to stop investing so much money into the guy, but that's okay. It still bothers me because I thought Undertaker's streak should have just kept going. Now, eventually, Undertaker's old school, he would have wanted to eventually, lose. I just had a problem with it. And I mean, yes, it launched Brock and everything, but Brock could have lost here and it wouldn't have fucking mattered. He still would have been seen as a beast. It took so much aura away from Undertaker that nobody really bought into him as much anymore. People still pop for the guy. People still like him. People still love him. It took away so much of the aura of that streak, when that streak ended. But that being said, Brock broke it, and I can tell you, watching it, I vividly remember my reaction. I think I tweeted out and I said, Brock Lesnar just broke Twitter. And he did. It was like people were thinking the ref count, because the ref even looked shocked. I mean, Heyman was selling the whole damn thing. Very few people knew about it. But they had the graphic already prepared, 21-1. So obviously that was the plan. It wasn't like it was a conspiracy theory. And it didn't happen, but it was still so nerve-wracking to see. And Taker suffered a concussion early on. There was a lot of he was really beat up and everything. It was disturbing. But still, hell of a visual, hell of a moment. I just wish that Brock hadn't been the one to do it. But I get why they went that route. Just still, 5 years, it still does bother me. Then we go to number 11. Taker versus Triple H at Mania 28. End of an era match with Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee, Hell in a Cell, and Metallica playing The Memory Remains as the cage lowers. This was good. It was hardcore in a PG environment. Stair usage, chair usage, all that stuff. Great stuff. I thought Shawn did the overacting and acted a little too much like a bitch as the referee. And I get why. He was torn because he respects Taker. Even though Taker ended his career, he respects Triple H. I just had such a problem with Shawn just acting so sensitive. Shawn, I mean, I know you're supposed to be a referee, you're supposed to be acting this kind of stuff, but it's just, that took away from it a little bit. I probably would have ranked this a couple slots higher. And I know that sounds like a bit of a quibble, but that's something that always bothered me. Though I will say, I thought the streak was over when, Taker had attacked Shawn or whatever, when Shawn was about to stop the match, locked him in the Hell's Gate. And then soon after, he puts Triple H on his shoulders. Triple H bounces off, super kick and then pedigree combo. And I'm thinking the streak's over. And I mean, I remember getting goosebumps just thinking about watching. I'm fortunately, it wasn't the streak over. 2 years later, on the other hand, it was a great match. It was. Taker won, as he should have. But the Shawn overacting took away a little bit of it. And I mean, that may sound like a quibble, maybe, and maybe people don't agree, and that's fine. You can leave in the comments what you think, or find me on Twitter. But that's just what I think. Now we go to cracking the top 10. So this is where things are getting a little bit better. Undertaker versus Diesel at Mania 12. I enjoyed this match. Big man match. Diesel thinking he had him beat with a couple jackknives. All that stuff and everything. It was obvious that Taker was going to be the one to go over, since I believe Nash had been the one. Nash had given his notice, which was fine. He really wasn't going to be used all that much better. And I don't blame him. He wanted to take the money. And I mean, people piss on Nash a lot. I make jokes about him tearing his quad a lot. But you know what? If I'm offered that much money to go somewhere, I'm going to go for the money. And I don't blame him. But anyway, the match itself was actually really good. A really good big man match. And Taker getting the victory. Tombstoning Diesel. That was really good stuff. It was a very good match on a very good Mania card. It was a low number of matches on the card, mainly because Brett versus Shawn had to take up an hour, but this was a really good match. At least I thought so. Then we go to number 9, Taker versus Kane at Mania 14. Their best match. Period. It was two movie monsters hitting each other, just two. Let's say it was like Godzilla, King Kong, all that stuff. It was really good because Taker at this point had shown some vulnerability. Didn't want to fight his brother. Kane was on a tear, had only debuted a few months before. Kane did everything he could to antagonize Undertaker, including setting the casket on fire. That was some good stuff. This was really, really impressive, though, because Kane looked absolutely unbeatable. So Taker having to do everything, 3 tombstones, and Kane still didn't stay down for that long. It was really, really good. I mean, and maybe it's just nostalgia glasses. Maybe I should have ranked this one lower, but I enjoyed this one. I thought it was really fun. And then we go to number 8, and Taker versus Triple H at Mania 17. I enjoyed this one. Yes, it was a little silly. Mania 17, my favorite Mania of all time, by the way. But just watching the fact that they were battling and everything, they were just doing this normal stuff, and I think it was just so funny at one point because they're battling in the ring, and then the referee gets knocked out, and the referee seemingly takes a nap for 10 damn minutes while Triple H and Taker just battle out into the crowd, further into the crowd, off this little stand thing that's there, and they're battling, and then Taker just choke slams a Triple H off of there onto some pads and stuff like that and whatever, and then there's an elbow drop, and then they battle back into the ring, and Taker gets his head busted open, but the referee takes a nap for 10 to 15 fucking minutes, and I just always find that so hilarious. Taker did get the victory, and after getting his head busted open, cool visual of Triple H pounding him in the corner with the fist, yes, phrasing, but then getting the last ride, boom, it's Biker Taker, at his finest, 1, 2, 3, and the streak lives on. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. I thought it was their best match at Mania, of the 3 that they had. Please, of the only 3 that they had. We don't need to see these 2 face off at WrestleMania 36. We really don't. And then we go to number 7. This one's bittersweet for me. Taker versus CM Punk at Mania 29. 1, best match of the Mania 29 card. 2, bittersweet. Punk wanted to leave. That's fine. Whatever. I still miss seeing CM Punk in the ring. I'm not going to tweet the guy saying I want him to come back. He didn't want to come back. He shouldn't have to. That's fine. It's still bittersweet to me because I wanted to see CM Punk in the match with Rock and John Cena and make it a triple threat. And then Rock could have lost his championship there. And it could have been, a way to extend the reign to 500 days. And that would have been pretty cool. Because Rock didn't need another championship run. And Cena could have just won it there and whatever. Plus, it would have maybe prevented Rock from getting injured. But back to this match, really good stuff. Punk, using Paul Bearer's death as a way to get to under Undertaker's skin. That's hard to say. And doing the urn, tossing the urn around and everything. That was some cool stuff. And they're really good contest. Punk just absolutely killing himself, doing an elbow drop off the ropes through the announcer's table. And then the cool visual of locking on the Anaconda device. And then it looks like Undertaker's going to, get pinned. 1, 2, and then Undertaker just rises up and he's staring at, he's staring at him. And then Punk stared at him. Punk just has this look of fear. And it's just one of the coolest shots that I think WWE has ever done. Occasionally, whoever does the camera work in WWE does a good job. I don't know if it was Kevin Dunn. It probably was. But whoever was actually working the camera did really good getting that shot. So that was good stuff. And then Punk lost, of course. And that was CM Punk's last match at WrestleMania, and Taker extended to 21-0. And then we know what happened the next year. Now to number 6, Taker versus Batista at Mania 23. Covered it before. It should have been ranked higher in the card, or should have been higher in the card. I don't know if it should have been main event, but it should have at least been better in the middle of the card. But it's great stuff. Batista looking dominant, looking like he could, wanting to do everything to take down Taker. Taker finally dethroning Batista. They had a great feud in 2007. They really did. It was really fabulously done. And Taker winning the World Championship, holding another title up 10 years after he beat Sid at, WrestleMania 13. So it was nice. And it wouldn't be the last time Taker would close WrestleMania as champion. Number 5, Taker versus Orton at WrestleMania 21. If the streak was going to end, it should have ended here. Now, I mean, granted, Orton, the prick that he is, all the shit that he's done, is somebody where, I mean, he was apparently supposed to break the streak and didn't want to do it out of respect to Taker. Now, if that's true, great. He also didn't want to do the Eddie storyline, so I'll give him credit for that. But, I mean, he did do it, but still, he got sick of it. But Taker versus Orton was a perfect time to end the streak, and I'll tell you the exact moment. Chokeslam into the RKO. That's where it should have ended. And it didn't. Okay, cool. I mean, I'm glad the Undertaker streak continued, but I'm just saying, that would have been a perfect moment. I don't think anybody would have complained. But it was what it was. Taker got the victory in a very, very good match. One of the best matches that Taker has had at WrestleMania. One of the best matches he had that year, easily. If not I think it might have actually been the best match he had that year. They had a hell of a feud into the end of 2005 and everything, and good stuff. Number 4, Taker versus Edge at Mania 24 for the world title. Covered it before, but Edge almost beating Undertaker and getting caught in the Hell's Gate. That was a great visual. The fact that Edge was in the main event, I think, was his only WrestleMania main event. I'm trying to think of, his only WrestleMania main event. I will have every Edge WrestleMania match list up in the next couple weeks. I'm going to be reviewing all the New Japan Cup content that I can and a whole bunch of stuff and everything, since I'm going to be working a lot and I'm also battling the last bits of a flu. I will probably have that list up in a week or two. But anyway, back to this match. Great stuff. Edge finally got the victory, or would have gotten the victory had he not gotten overconfident. Had he pinned Taker after that second spear. But nope, he got overconfident, and Taker slapping that on. I can't do the Hell's Gate thing because I'm not going to tie myself into a pretzel. And Taker holding the world title aloft for the second straight WrestleMania. You almost wish Edge would have been the one to do it, but boy, Edge had a really good rivalry with Undertaker. Kind of almost wish Edge would have been the one to end the streak. How cool would that have been? Too bad, because Edge retired like 3 years later. But anyway, number 3, Taker versus Michaels at Mania 26. It was career versus streak. It was great. It was wonderful. Stay down. Taker's yelling at Shawn. Shawn slaps him in the face. Tombstone, jumping tombstone, 1, 2, 3. And then Shawn leaves. I'm going to drive my kids nuts in 3 weeks. It was good. It was a spectacular match. But I'm ranking it number 3. And why? Because I got a match that I thought was better. Or for Undertaker's performance, I mean. Now, not that match, not quality-wise, 26 should be ranked ahead of this. I got a match that I'm going to rank higher for Taker's just sheer performance. Undertaker versus Ric Flair at Mania 18 in the number 2 spot. And why? Flair really did well here also, but Taker just absolutely brutalizing Flair a lot. Getting busted, Flair getting busted open. Shocking, I know. Shocking that Flair bled during the match. Great stuff, though. Just Flair having to continue to battle back. Undertaker overselling those chops, just yelling out in pain. All that stuff. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was terrific. The part where Arn Anderson ran in, did the spine buster, that was cool. Then he got beat up. Undertaker, the only part of it that was like a quibble at all was Undertaker going for the, last ride. And I don't think Flair sandbagged him. I don't think Flair was, prepared to take it. So then Undertaker just hits a tombstone, 1, 2, 3, makes the streak 10-0 as he holds up the fingers at the end. And that was good stuff. It was really good. And the commentary was good stuff. It was a really good match. A very, very underappreciated match. Probably the most underappreciated Undertaker WrestleMania match ever. In my opinion. And number 1, Taker versus Michaels at Mania 25. Still my favorite WrestleMania match of all time. 1 or 2. It's either this or Savage versus Steamboat for most people. It was great. 30 minutes of beauty. All the near falls. All the great stuff. Taker not dying on that dive. All that. Taker getting the victory. Catching Michaels out of the moonsault for that tombstone. Brilliant. So that's all I got to say. So, what do you guys think? How would you guys rank these matches? How are there other superstars you want me to do lists on? Let me know in the comments, but look also on the playlist and see which ones I've already done. Bear in mind, let's try to do ones for people who have had 10 or more WrestleMania matches to make it easier. But anyway, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I will see you soon.